Hey guys, today's story is about a not-so-great player that was playing a Barbarian Warlock character. So, to start off, we'll go over the cast of characters, which all have very self-explanatory names. There was myself, playing a bard, there was Harry, who was playing a Barbarian Warlock, and then there was the DM. There was also a paladin, a wizard, a ranger, and a druid, but they weren't really involved in this. So, this story happened a little while ago. The group had just come back from killing some giants, and returning some captives that we rescued from their base of operations to a town where we started the story. We were doing some RP stuff in the town, and my bard was sharing stories with an elder in the town center. Our druid was off conversing with the local priests and catching up with them, and the barbarian was at the tavern, catching up with the bartender and regaling the locals with our stories of triumph since we left. The barbarian was getting a party going, and the drinks were flowing, and the townsfolk were getting merry from all the stories of giant slaying. I decided to go to the tavern as well, to stick with the group before we all decided to move on together. I didn't originally intend for the next stuff to happen, but the DM described it, and I decided to roll with it. When my character arrived, the mood of the party began to change, as my bard was a very dour character who told tragedies and focused more on debuffing enemies in combat than buffing allies. Despite this, I ended up doing a lot of the talking for the party in diplomatic situations, as bards tend to do, I suppose. But the main thing of note for my character was that she's a Medusa. I'm using a homebrewed race, with the added caveat that she's blind, and can't turn people to stone. She also hides her snakes under a turban, and passes herself off as a drow, preferring to be simply mistrusted by people, rather than treated as a monster. And as I started talking with the townsfolk about myself and the party's exploits, more and more of them got interested in what I had to say, and wanted to hear one of my stories. So I decided to tell them about my character's tragic backstory, TM, in third person of course. The DM asked for a performance check, and I rolled really high, drawing more and more attention to myself and generally bringing the mood down. Again, I didn't intend for this to happen, but that's how the DM described it all unfolding. Well, apparently the barbarian didn't like that, as when I was closing the story, they sidled up to me and cast suggestion on me, stating that I should give the crowd a visual aid to the story, which was obviously intended to mean that my character would unveil her snake hair and out herself as a Medusa in the middle of a crowded tavern. The DM gave me advantage and a large plus on the save, as I argued that this was deeply against my character's sense of self-preservation, and I was close to our paladin, who had a passive aura that gave bonuses to saves. I thankfully passed the save and brushed the attempt off, in character in the moment, but I personally was livid, and the session ended there. By the next session, there had been a lot of furor about what Harry did during the week in our group chat, and Harry decided that the barbarian should leave the group, and that he should roll a new character, which is what happened for the next session. Except Harry wasn't present for the session due to family commitments, so the DM had to act on Harry's behalf, acting out how the barbarian character ran away from the party, getting no recompense for attempting to murder my character, and leaving a paltry, sorry note behind. We all gave chase, but due to us not knowing where they went, we ended up separated. I found out where the barbarian was going, but unfortunately I had to leave the session early, and in my absence, the barbarian gave my character the slip and got away forever. I wasn't told that the barbarian had gone away until the next session afterwards. Admittedly, I was feeling pretty bummed out by the fact that I lost the chance for my character to secure her secret and get some revenge on who is now, for all intents and purposes, an NPC. So now I felt kinda pigeonholed as to where my character could go from here. I originally intended for her to have something of a personal redemption, and hopefully learning to live with and trust others, after spending centuries looking after herself. However, after the Barbarian's attempt on her life, I then shifted towards turning it into a heel-face door slam, and this incident reinforced her mistrust of others, and made her more outwardly hostile to others. And she would eventually turn away from the party once the main story was over, and go her own way once again. However, now with the Barbarian having suffered no consequences for their actions and gotten away, I kind of felt that, from an RP perspective, I had nowhere to go with the character but for her to become a paranoid wreck, seeing as this lunatic with no self-control was gallivanting around in the world, telling her secret to God knows who, which has no appeal to me at all as an RP arc because there's little I could do to alleviate it in-game. However, this incident involving my character wasn't the first instance of Harry working directly against the party either. About 10 sessions ago, he attempted to steal a book from the Paladin that would give them a large charisma boost. And after we had all voted on who should have the book, they outright attacked the Paladin in the night when he didn't have any armor, and it took the rest of the party intervening to break it up. Then, even further back, they attempted to steal a cursed artifact that we wanted to destroy, and knowingly sold it to a merchant so that they could buy an expensive magic item for themselves, despite them claiming that they were playing a chaotic good character. That time, it wasn't until the DM told them that doing so would knock them down to chaotic evil that they backed down. All of this is in addition to other stuff. General murder-hobo behavior, deliberately staying out of combat to loot fallen enemies in another area, even though they're a tank, and metagaming monster stat blocks and story-relevant NPCs and items. All of this together has made me really rather sick of this particular player. I've spoken to the DM about the metagaming before, and Harry did stop it for a while. But then, a lot of his even more selfish behaviors gradually worsened over time. Well guys, I can't help but feel like this isn't solely the problem player's fault. If the party knew that this guy wasn't exactly a team player 10 sessions ago, then they should have expected crap like this and retconned it, especially with the Barbarian leaving the party. By the sounds of it, this particular player was just acting maliciously for whatever reason, as well as playing selfishly, as per the cursed item selling and buying themselves an item. I can only imagine that there's a lot more stuff not being said here, kind of like how he assaulted the Paladin's character. But if what is said here in the story is anything to go off of, they should definitely kick this guy out. Especially if they gave him that second chance and he apparently did improve and then just went back to his old habits and then doubled down on those bad habits and made them worse. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments, and as always, have a good one.